was William Gladstone, Liberal Prime Minister and Chancellor of the Exchequer in the 19th century, who said in one of his briefer speeches, a mere 4¾ hours, that by the 5th of April 1860 the income tax will by law expire and that money ought to fructify in the pockets of the people. Well, in those days income tax was about 3%, and here we are more than 160 years later with income tax alive and kicking, taking as much as 45p in the pound from the British people, with some marginal rates over 100% in certain circumstances. I discovered that if you are a person with 6 children earning £50,000 a year, you face a marginal tax rate of 96%, and if you have a 7th child, it goes over 100%. So be careful about those 7th children. But there's hope, for the autumn statement will be unveiled tomorrow, and tax cuts are widely expected. And we'll talk about what has happened tomorrow, but this is what I think should be done. We need to be thinking about growth. We need an economy that will grow, and that needs taxes at the right level that don't inhibit growth. So bear in mind that the ABR has consistently underestimated the public finances. It's got them wrong again and again. This year it's thought there'll be £20 billion of headroom from the ABR's previous predictions. So we should give that money back to people. But we should also cut spending. I'm not in favour of unfunded tax cuts. I don't think that works. I don't think it's the right way to proceed. But every pound of your money we spend should be spent well. So when the Prime Minister announced the cancellation of the northern part of HS2, he shouldn't have reallocated that money. It should be saved. Just reallocating it doesn't mean that the process of spending it has been well thought through. It was something really for a party conference speech. That money should be saved. The civil service should be reduced. When I was the Minister for Government Efficiency, we had a plan to get it back to 2015-16 levels, which could have saved £5 to £6 billion. The proposed welfare changes encouraging people to go into work from 2025 should be brought forward to 2024. If you do things like this, you'd suddenly find you've got about £30 billion that you could return to taxpayers. Bear in mind, it's your money. There is no such thing as government money. And where should this go? Well, it should prioritise investment, helping businesses, and removing the penal effects of inflation. Inheritance tax. You may think that inheritance tax is just a boon for the rich, but it's not. It falls on many people whose only asset is their family home, but it also has damaging, distortive effects on how capital is allocated, because people invest their money for tax reasons, not for the best economic reason. And why is it better to invest in a small company on AIM than to invest in one of Britain's leading corporations? One of them faces a 40p in the pound death duty, the other's 0 rated. This doesn't make sense. We want people to make the best investments. Only raises £7 billion a year. It should go all together. It would have a strong economic benefit in terms of the allocation of capital. The VAT threshold should be raised from its current £80,000. Lots of businesses get to March and don't want to do any more business, small businesses, sole traders, because if they do, they suddenly have to put their prices up by 20%. That limit should be raised, or it should be staggered so that people don't go from 0 to 20% in one fell swoop. Corporation tax. Corporation tax increased the amount of revenue it took from 2011-12, 34 billion, to 2021-22 of 63 billion. It almost doubled as it was slashed. This was really tremendously important, had a beneficial effect on receipts and for companies. Much better to have low rates and few write-offs. George Osborne was right on corporation tax. We should try and get back to that 19p rate and thresholds that have been eaten into by inflation. We should do as much as we can with the money available to try and restore those thresholds. That really should be a priority, because that is a genuine cut in income in real terms for people up and down the country. So that's trying to get the best out of the money available to make sure that people have the money they need in their pockets. This bonfire of taxes will potentially ignite the British economy, and as Gladstone put it, allow money to fructify in the pockets of the British people. As always, I want to hear from you, mailmog@gbnews.com.